So we're away from the city resort mega complex of Puerto Vallarta, and we're heading into the Sierra Madre Mountains to a little colonial town called Mascota. And Merdad is going to explain to us what the original name of Mascota was and is.
Yes, Mascota seems to be named the pets because in Spanish when you say mascota means the pets, but this mascota its origin from Amaxcotlan, Mazagotlan is the original name mascota. The ancient culture who used to live there it has this name for this pueblito that means the land of deers and snake, and it's translated to mascota to the Spanish. So this is a ancient culture to live there. The name of this tribe is Paqueos. Is the tribe who extinct now no exists anymore. This culture. Yeah, it's the original name of the mascota.
Okay, so as he said, the original name means the land of the deers and snakes. So supposedly there is a little museum there, or we know there is a museum there, that has pre-Hispanic artifacts. But the big question of the day is, will it be open or not? We're going to go to the tourism office there and see if we can get more information about the pre-Hispanic aspects of this little town, as well as drive through and look at the colonial structures as well. So stay tuned. So we're slowly crawling up into the Sierra Madre Mountains. Before this we were going kind of up and down and up and down, and now we're doing an actual major ascent. This is the same road that took us to a little town of Pueblita in a previous video called San Sebastian de Oeste, and we're going farther to a companion town, I think of the same vintage as we previously discussed, called Mascota. So please enjoy the ride as we go into this high jungly area here in June of 2020. So we drove way up into the mountains and then did quite a descent. And we are now at the outskirts of our destination. The little town of Mascota. So we'll see what it's like as compared to the other little colonial town that we explored in the recent past. You see lots of agriculture in this area. Now we're entering into the little town of Mascota with the standard cobblestone streets, which are hellish on a little car like this that doesn't have much of a suspension. So it's 5 kilometers an hour, and we're heading towards the center where the museum is. We'll see if it's open or not, and tourist information center as well. So once again, we're basically in the core of this little town of Mascota. Very colonial looking. And there is a museum here that supposedly was closed, but now we find the doors open. So we're going to look at all of the artifacts here. Supposedly there's a connection with Peru. But how that can be, I have no idea, but that's what we're going to be exploring. Standard anthropomorphic petroglyphs. And some ceramics. Somewhat similar to styles we see in Peru and, of course, in different areas of Mexico. So the museum consists of 4 rooms. This is the room of the petroglyphs. So pretty well the standard shapes we can see at petroglyph sites all over the world. Circles, human faces, possibly the sun symbol, looks like a lizard, like a magical human form. Spirals. Lots of spiral shapes, which of course you see in many locations around the world. A circle within a circle. Possibly mythical beings. an H with humanoid figures. Lizards. Looks like they obviously took chalk in order to allow you to see the designs much easier. So where exactly these are located, I don't know, but supposedly in this general area. Again, lizard designs. So we're very thankful that the museum was specially opened for us. Merdad, our guide, told the lady in charge that I'm a visiting dignitary from Peru. He explained to her that I'm an author and video maker, so that's why I was allowed to come inside and document these petroglyphs. Of course, you find shapes like this or petroglyphs like this all over the world, especially the human figures, representations of the sun, lizards and serpents, and things of that nature. And their symbol here seems to be a man with a horn of some kind. That seems to be the symbol for the museum. Now we're in the ceramic section. And stones. So basic implements of stone. A lot of arrowheads made of obsidian. Possible corn grinder of some kind. Human burials. And various ceramics. Again, we read that there was supposed to be some connection between here and ancient Peru, which I have not seen so far. The artifacts, especially the ceramics, are kind of typical of what you find in Mexico of different cultures, which we've seen all over the place, and of course, especially in the massive and incredibly impressive Museum of Anthropology and Archaeology in Mexico City, which I believe is presently closed. I'm going to be going to Mexico City in about 14 days, and hopefully by then the big museum will be open, because it's one of the finest in the world, and it's one of the first major museums set up to display all of the major and minor cultures of ancient Mexico. I think based on a chronological timeline, and everything, it seems, pretty well of the collection is on display. So that's where you see the magnificent Olmec heads, for example. There are also elongated skulls, artifacts from the Aztec, Teotihuacan, Toltec, and Maya and other cultures in Mexico. If you want to see previous videos I've made, I have made a few videos from previous trips to Mexico City, highlighting the incredible collection of artifacts and the astonishing building in which they are housed. Now we're in the ceramic section and stones. So basic implements of stone, a lot of arrowheads made of obsidian, possible corn grinder of some kind. Human burials. And various ceramics. Again, we read that there was supposed to be some connection between here and ancient Peru, which I have not seen so far. The artifacts, especially the ceramics, are kind of typical of what you find in Mexico of different cultures, which we've seen all over the place, and of course especially in the massive and incredibly impressive Museum of Anthropology and Archaeology in Mexico City, which I believe is presently closed. I'm going to be going to Mexico City in about 14 days, and hopefully by then the big museum will be open, because it's one of the finest in the world, and it's one of the first major museums set up to display all of the major and minor cultures of ancient Mexico. I think based on a chronological timeline, and everything, it seems, pretty well of the collection is on display. So that's where you see the magnificent Olmec heads, for example. There are also elongated skulls, artifacts from the Aztec, Teotihuacan, Toltec, and Maya and other cultures in Mexico. If you want to see previous videos I've made, I have made a few videos from previous trips to Mexico City, highlighting the incredible collection of artifacts and the astonishing building in which they are housed. So now we're in room number 3, and you can see an actual excavation in the area. And here again. Human remains. No elongated skull I can see. And again, ceramics typical of ancient Mexico and other parts of, as well, what you would see in Central America and to some degree South America. But to me, these shapes and designs are quite typical of ancient Mexican cultures. And more obsidian points. What looks like could be little beads made possibly from emerald. And emerald is most commonly found in Ecuador, so that could have been traded through a chain of different cultures from Ecuador to here. Again, I'm not seeing any obvious connection with ancient Peru. But still, we're very grateful that they allowed me to come into this museum, because at this point, it seems to be off limits to the general public. More pottery. Here's one of a jaguar. Probably jaguar human transformation character. Quartz crystal ornaments. And more ceramics. Again, the appearance of what could very well be either emerald or jade ornaments. And so if jade, it could be from Mexico. I think most jade tends to be found closer to Mexico City than here, so that would be a trading system from there to this area. But if it's emerald, then likely emerald traded from Ecuador. That's where there are large deposits, and emeralds were also traded into Peru. The Paracas culture of 3,000 to 2,000 years ago had ornaments, emerald ornaments. So those most likely would have come from Ecuador, and likely by sea or maybe land trade. And some more ancient human skeletal remains. We're now working our way out of Mascota and possibly traveling to a little town called Talpa. But we're unsure of the condition of the road, so we're going to check that out first and make a decision as to whether we proceed towards there or head back to San Sebastián de Oeste to have some lunch. stay tuned for that. The cobblestone roads continue, which I'm sure is a cultural thing of pride for the colonial history, but it's a real pain in the neck when it comes to wear and tear on the little car we're in. So a little tour of the historic center area of Talpa de Allende, high in the Sierra Madres. If you were hoping to see some megalithic stuff, I'm afraid you're out of luck. But of course, on my YouTube channel, there are 1,000 plus videos dedicated to megalithic sites around the world. So please watch them and share them and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I hope you've enjoyed this little tour up in the mountains, the Sierra Madre Occidental, outside of Puerto Vallarta in ancient Mexico. Okay, actually an unexpected stop, probably the last part of this video, and that is obviously what is a church, but what's intriguing is there seem to be very large basalt blocks sculpted, so we're going to check them out because there's a possibility that this is in fact a megalithic site. Ancient, pre-Columbian. So as we come up to the stonework, like we see in a lot of locations, you have very rough work above and much, much finer work below. And so this is likely a basalt stone, and highly unlikely that the early Spanish visitors were capable of cutting so many blocks like this. Each one is a different shape and size, which is consistent with what we see at ancient megalithic sites in different parts of the world. And here it becomes even more obvious. You can see, again, that you have very large hard stone basalt blocks like that, and then a reconstruction during the Spanish colonial times. As we look at these ones here, they show signs of possible ancient cataclysmic damage. So there's one other site that we've seen called Mitla, which is in Oaxaca in Mexico, and you can look that up in my list of videos. And what you can tell is that Mitla, again, was an ancient megalithic site, and that it was reconstructed during the Zapotec indigenous peoples' times. So this is a very intriguing location. Again, highly unlikely that these were cut by the Spanish because you would need likely a diamond saw, and each one seems to be to some degree a different shape and size. So very good find, Merdad.
Great. I'll see to you.
Yeah, I think we've stumbled across an ancient megalithic site.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure?
95% sure.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, look how rough the work is on top. That's the Spanish reconstruction. The native people here that we know of were Stone Age, so they wouldn't have had any kind of technology. So, quite a curious find here in the Sierra Madre mountains of Mexico.
Unfinished temple, they call it.
Well, here you can see where the Spanish were reworking the stone. But with the older big blocks, you don't see any sign of ornamentation or anything like that, which again is consistent with an ancient megalithic site. So we just stumbled across this place, driving back to Puerto Vallarta, and quite intriguing. There are other locations in Mexico that show sign of ancient high technology, such as at Teotihuacan, Mitla, as I mentioned, and then also Uxmal.